Hi everyone and welcome back to Joypad. Today we are diving deep into my homelab server. As some as you may know, this machine is the heart of all my projects, but lately it's been feeling a little bit cramped. The current specs are an AMD Ryzen 5 5600G, 64 gigs of RAM, a couple of NVMe SSD and one single NVIDIA Tesla P4. Not bad, but we can do better. What is the goal for this upgrade? Well, to get more GPU power to dedicate to my virtual machines. I'm talking about Plex for transcoding, a Windows 11 VM for testing, running some large language models with Llama. In short, more GPUs, more fun. That's why today we're installing a new motherboard, the ASUS ProWS X570 Ace, which will give me the extra PCI Express slots I need to add a second NVIDIA Tesla P4. And to power all of it, we're upgrading to a beast, the Seasonic Vertex PX1200 PSU. Ready? Let's get started. Before we start taking things apart though, let's talk about the star of today's show, the motherboard. I want to give a huge thank you to ASUS for providing this ProWS X570 Ace for the project. This is from their Pro workstation line, designed for 24/7 stability and reliability. The key feature for me is that it has multiple PCI Express X16 slots, which finally allows me to install two NVIDIA GPUs along my 10 gigabit network card. Now, I know this isn't the latest model, and ASUS themselves pointed out that for a high-end workstation, their ProWS WRX 80E Sage SE Wi-Fi 2, that's a mouthful, for Threadripper CPUs would be a much more suitable choice. That thing is an absolute beast, but for my needs, it would have been overkill. The goal here is to stick with the Ryzen 5 because of its excellent performance per watt. I don't need the raw power or the power consumption of a Threadripper. For homelab, power efficiency is key. Alright, time to get our hands dirty. Let's start by taking the old server apart, powering it down, unplugging everything and opening up the case. And now for the main event, the motherboard transplant. Let's get the old Asus Prime B550 Plus out, and here is the new arrival. Before we mount it in the case, let's get the key components installed. Our trusty Ryzen 5, the RAM and two of the Samsung's NVMe SSDs. This is not a delicate operation, but it's much easier to do it now. Now we can mount the motherboard in the case, and while we're at it, let's swap the power supply. And to power the new build, I've gone with this 1200 watt Seasonic Vertex. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't that overkill? For a standard PC, maybe. But for a server that runs 24/7, the priority shifts from pure efficiency down to the last watt to absolute long-term reliability. By choosing a top-tier and deliberately oversized unit like this, its components are always operating under minimal stress. This translates to better stability and longer lifespan, and for me, complete peace of mind. We're almost there. Now to connect all the cables to the motherboard, main power, front panel, connectors, fans, and finally, let's install our PCI Express cards, the two Tesla P4s and the Connect X3 10 gigabit network card. Both can be bought for relatively cheap off eBay. And there you have it, the new hardware is all assembled. Looks pretty good, right? Of course, you could always put something like this awesome NVIDIA A16 card with its 416 virtual GPUs inside, but we're trying to consume not too much power, okay? New hardware, but old software. So, how do we migrate my Proxmox system without reinstalling everything from scratch? Simple, with Proxmox Backup Server. I have a dedicated backup server inside my Synology NAS. Before starting this upgrade, I made a complete backup of all my virtual machines. Now, all I have to do is install a fresh copy of Proxmox in this new machine and then restore the VMs from the backup server. This gets me back up and running in a fraction of the time and ensures that I don't lose any data. Pretty neat! And here we are, job done! The upgrade is complete and the server is back online. Let's take a look at Proxmox. As you can see, all my virtual machines are back up and running. Here we have the Windows 11 VM, which is much more responsive with a dedicated GPU. Next is this Ollama VM, where I run language models. With a Tesla P4 all to itself, my experiments are going to be so much faster. It will still be limited by the small 8GB of VRAM, but it doesn't use a ton of electricity. And finally, the one many of you care about, Plex. Watch this, I'll start a 4K stream and force a transcode, and the second Tesla P4 immediately kicks in, handling the load without impacting any of the server's other tasks. I gotta say, I am really happy with this upgrade. I now have a more powerful and flexible platform for all my future experiments. That's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful. Special thanks again to ASUS for providing the Pro WS X550A's motherboard. If you have any questions about the upgrade, Proxmox or the hardware I used, leave a comment down below and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I'll see you in the next one.